If you've been holding yourself together for a long time, this isn't motivation. It's permission to stop holding everything inside.
You can take a moment here. Nothing needs to change right now. If you've been holding yourself together for a long time, this isn't motivation, it's permission. Permission to stop holding yourself so tightly. Not because you're broken, not because you failed, but because you had to. Because at some point staying tight was how you survived. And that made sense. There were moments when letting go didn't feel safe. Moments when relaxing felt like something might fall apart. So your body learned to stay ready. Your mind learned to stay alert. And you learned how to keep going. That wasn't weakness, that was intelligence. But survival patterns are not meant to be permanent homes. And nothing here is asking you to drop them all at once. Just to notice that you don't have to hold everything together in this moment. You're allowed to rest here. For many people, rest doesn't feel neutral. It can feel unfamiliar, even uncomfortable, because when you've been in survival mode for a long time, calm can feel like a loss of control. Your nervous system learned that staying tense kept you safe, that scanning, preparing, anticipating was necessary. So if part of you feels hesitant right now, that's okay. Nothing is wrong with that. You're not being asked to trust blindly. You're not being asked to force relaxation, just to listen, just to notice what it's like to not be pushed. You may notice sensations in your body as you listen. Tightness, heaviness, or maybe nothing at all. All of that is welcome. You don't need to analyze it. You don't need to fix it. Just let this be a place where nothing is demanded of you. For so long, your worth may have felt tied to effort, to being strong, to being capable, to holding everything together quietly. You learned to keep moving even when you were tired, to keep functioning even when something inside you wanted to stop. And maybe no one ever told you that you were allowed to rest without earning it. So let this be that reminder. You don't have to justify your exhaustion. You don't have to explain your pain. You don't have to prove that you deserve relief. You're allowed to soften, simply because you're here. Sometimes the hardest thing to accept is that you don't need to be different to be allowed to rest. There may be a part of you that says, if I stop holding on, everything will collapse. That voice isn't your enemy, it's a memory of moments when you didn't have support, when you had to be the one who stayed alert, the one who stayed responsible, the one who stayed strong. That part learned its job well, and it doesn't need to disappear. It just doesn't need to be in charge right now. You can let it know that nothing bad is happening in this moment, that you're not being tested, that you're not being evaluated. You're simply being given space. If it helps, you can imagine setting something heavy down beside you, not throwing it away, not fixing it, just not carrying it for a while. Your body has been carrying a lot. Even when you're not consciously thinking about it, there can be a constant background tension, a readiness, a subtle holding. So if you notice your shoulders lifting, your jaw tightening, your breath staying shallow, you don't need to correct it, just notice. Awareness alone begins to change things. There's a difference between effort and presence. Effort tries to force a result. Presence simply allows what's already here. This space is about presence. You don't have to arrive at peace. You don't have to feel calm. You're not behind if you don't. Sometimes the most healing thing is being allowed to be exactly as you are, without being told you need to improve. If your mind wanders as you listen, that's okay. You can gently come back to the sound of the words, not because you should, but because you can. There's a quiet strength in not pushing yourself. You may have spent years believing that tension was necessary to survive, and maybe it was, but your system is allowed to learn something new, that safety doesn't always require effort. That rest doesn't mean danger, that letting go a little doesn't mean losing control. Nothing here is asking you to trust the future, just this moment, just the fact that right now you are supported by the ground beneath you, by the space around you, by the simple fact of being here. You're not falling behind by resting. You're not giving up. You're allowing your system to remember another way of being, a way that doesn't require constant vigilance. There's a quiet intelligence in your body that knows how to settle when it's given permission. You don't have to tell it how. You don't have to guide it. You can let the breath come and go in its own rhythm. You can let the muscles soften in their own time. And if they don't, that's fine too. This is not a performance, this is a pause.
Many people spend their lives waiting for a moment when they're allowed to rest, when things are finally done, when everything is resolved, when they've earned it. But that moment rarely comes. So rest becomes something postponed, something conditional. Let this be unconditional. Let this be a moment where rest doesn't need a reason. You may notice emotions arising, sadness, relief, numbness. All of it is part of letting go. There's nothing wrong with you for feeling any of it. You're not too sensitive. You're not failing at healing. You're responding naturally to being given space after a long time without it. If you've been living in survival mode, your system didn't choose that. It adapted. And adaptations can soften when they're no longer needed. Not through force, but through safety. This space is not about fixing your life. It's about giving your system a moment where it doesn't have to defend itself. That alone is healing. You might notice a sense of grief for how long you've been carrying things alone. That's okay. Grief doesn't mean you're going backward. It means something important is being acknowledged. You're allowed to honor how hard it's been, without minimizing it, without rushing past it. You didn't imagine your exhaustion. You didn't overreact. It really was a lot. And you're still here. There's a quiet resilience in that. Not the kind that pushes forward endlessly, but the kind that knows when to rest. You don't need to stay alert for what comes next. Nothing here is going to demand anything from you. You can let the words wash over you. You can let them fade into the background. Even listening is optional. Just being here is enough. If you find yourself wanting this feeling to last, that's understandable. But you don't need to hold on to it. This isn't something you can lose. The capacity to rest is not something you have to create. It's something that was always there, waiting for permission. And you're giving that permission now. You may notice that the urge to brace is slowly easing. Or maybe it isn't. Either way is okay. Change doesn't have to be dramatic to be real. Sometimes the deepest shifts are almost unnoticeable at first. A slightly deeper breath, a small release, a moment of quiet. That's enough. You don't need to measure your progress. You don't need to remember everything said here. Your system understands more than your mind needs to. You can trust that. And when this video ends, you don't need to rush back into effort. You can carry a little of this softness with you, not as something to maintain, but as something available. Whenever you remember, you can return to this feeling. The feeling of not having to hold everything together. The feeling of being allowed to rest. You don't have to do it perfectly. You don't have to do it now. Just knowing it's possible is enough for today. You're allowed to be here. You're allowed to soften. You're allowed to rest. And nothing more is required of you in this moment.